Puffin here. Thanks for tuning in to your Antifa News Briefa. August 21st, 2021, 8/21/21. This is a magical day, y'all, and this is a crazy story. The Taliban's defeated, not entirely, but in a few cities, provinces, the Afghan army has rallied and killed a bunch of Taliban fighters and taken the cities back from the Taliban. This happened, it's now almost 4 p.m. Eastern time in America. This happened 12, 13, maybe 15 hours ago. This happened a long time ago. And so the story around the story is what makes it even weirder that you're maybe hearing this first from me, that you didn't hear about this until long after it happened. I heard about it from the Chinese YouTube channel, CGTN. They're awesome. They always tell the truth as far as I can tell. And I mean, I guess they could have made it up. But why would we think people make up the news? Because we're used to that in America. But you got to wonder, why would they even make it up? Why even give people false hope that the Afghan army was going to... I mean, they had a tweet from the president of Afghanistan now, the guy who stayed there, a vice president, I guess, who stayed there instead of fleeing, who's saying, I'm now the rightful president per the Constitution, and we're sticking around. So... Again, I heard about this from Chinese media, and I thought, when I heard about this in the middle of the night last night, that it would be a news story today in America. And I'm a little bit shocked, even knowing how they do stuff, that it's not. That the focus still seems to be on the Taliban's there, they're in charge, and they've won it conclusively or whatever. We're just dealing with them now. So much that, like, as many times as I refreshed my Google News feed this morning, the top story was Taliban showing off their weapons and Humvees. You know, their American-made weapons that they now have confiscated or, taken over. I do think it seems like it could be a big trap, even with letting them get these weapons, which seems like a, kind of a badly laid trap in that regard. But, again, you let them have some weapons that are so shiny and exciting to them, but not the best weapons you got there. You keep those somewhere else and then bring them back in for the fight. And while they're distracted playing with their new toys, that's when they get them. Now, I don't know why they haven't let the American people know that there's this counteroffensive to the Taliban going on. You would think, with as much as people are pretending to care, that they would really care about that news. And you would think in this modern news world where it's like minute by minute news, the minute-to-minute news cycle, that you wouldn't go 15, 16 hours or more without even hearing about Taliban-run towns falling to the Afghan army. So why are they downplaying this story? I asked in one of my previous videos, maybe leave comments. I haven't gotten any good suggestions yet, but I'll throw some out there myself. Just that our media is so overwrought with, like, I saw a Business Insider story at the top of my newsfeed, which I've never trusted Business Insider before. I saw them at the top of my newsfeed just because they were saying something like the FBI has found no evidence that Trump coordinated the January 6th attack. Well, everybody knows he did. So are you just saying the FBI is covering for him, completely incompetent? Or is it just Business Insider saying so far they found no evidence? So at this point, when they're about to release the evidence they found, we can say no and get one more story out there to clickbait the Trumper crowd. But I couldn't believe a Business Insider story was at the top of my newsfeed. So anyway, today it was Taliban showing off their new weapons, and right below that, Trump rally is going to help this guy who said he supports the Taliban in Alabama or someplace, Talabama. So my previous videos, as you can see from today, about this nexus or this interconnection or just the complete shared identity of Trump, Taliban, Trumpers, KGB, KKK. All these trolls are the same. I've run into so many of them online, the troll faction of this whole thing. And it's the same mentality, the same words, the same arguments, the same people. And some of them are really obviously Russian, and some of them are less obviously Russian or not Russian, but sharing the same mentality, sharing the same arguing points or whatever. You can see them in the comments of my videos. So anyway, this guy whining about Proud Boys getting tear gassed and the fact that they managed to bring, well, they've at least staged as if they had brought some kid there who got tear gas, anyway. The fact that they want to use human shields and support the Taliban. But yeah, so the second news story was Trump having a rally in Alabama is going to help this guy Boone, I guess, who's recently expressed, praise for the Taliban, like other Trumpers have done. Of course, they're going to do that. Putin's writing the script. But the media, to buy into it and to avoid a story about the Taliban losing, that seems to concern me. That seems to be where it gets crazy to me, that they don't want to share that story. Maybe because they don't want to give false hope or let too many of the terrorists here know that the terrorists there are actually losing. They're trying to trap more of them in the exact same way hey, let's let the Taliban overrun these cities and take all this stuff to get them out of the mountains, and then we can destroy them. Could be the trap they're playing, just like they've emboldened all these trolls, and these trolls have emboldened all these other Trumpers to say all these terrible things, which they can then track back to them and prosecute them for. It's almost like the war on drugs, which was stupid, being shifted over to a war on terrorists in America, like domestic terrorists who spread Trump virus or spread racism and spread all this hateful stuff and trigger people to do terrorist acts. And that in that sense it could be good, but the same type of we're going to focus, if we actually focus on that now and root it out, or if we're not going to have people to put in jail for drugs anymore, maybe we need to put these people in jail for terrorism. And maybe you did anyway, but also ultimately you need to reform jails and not have jails. Different subject, but you're making a whole country into a jail in some ways by trying to be an oppressor there. So it's kind of weird to be cheering on for any army taking back over even from the Taliban. But it's not weird to cheer for women. It's not weird to cheer for anybody fighting any type of fascists. And so that's where I also see this connection between Anna Quinn taking on the fresh and fit fascists and taking that incel network, because it's a terrorist incel network, down. And the fact that they felt emboldened to say all these things by all these easy conquests before, and by everybody cheering them on within their manosphere, just like the Taliban felt emboldened to take over city after city. But if they end up getting routed after they've taken over these cities and overextended themselves or spread themselves into the, come out of the mountains, it's a very interesting metaphor. It also, because they're working together, like these incel trolls coming out of the mountains, these hill folk types coming out of the mountains, having internet access, feeling all empowered by saying terrible, nasty things. But then when they get caught for that, you're like, no, you're a terrorist. Like, hopefully we can reform them and turn them into decent human beings again. That goes for the Taliban too. But they've killed a bunch of them. Like, again, you haven't heard about it in Western media, but thanks to CGTN, thank you, Chinese media, and their host, the Chinese media host, had the Taliban spokesman on, and she was naming names. She was like getting a list of the leadership of the Taliban, or, kind of like very pleasantly getting him to give up some information. And, it seems like it maybe is a trap. Now, maybe the reason Western media isn't reporting on this is because somehow America is not the one supporting the Afghan fighters. Maybe China or any other country is supporting the Afghan fighters as they take over these cities, and that's how they know about it. And why America's ashamed to admit it, I'm not sure. I would imagine that America still has great influence there, or secret, you could have a secret base somewhere. I mean, come on, you've been there 20 years. You could have some secret underground base and then just pop up. Like, it could have been a plan and a trap. And I don't think saying something about it because, the Chinese have reported on it is like spoiling the trap. These Taliban people don't know what they're doing. Just like these Trump terrorists don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They're idiots. They're brainwashed, poisoned in the head idiots, and they don't know what they're doing. They should be easy to defeat. So, good luck to the Afghan government, the new president of Afghanistan after the other ones quit, and just like good luck to Joe Biden. But we also have to make sure people don't think that Trump is still the president here. Like, arresting him is the best way to do that, because most of us thought as soon as he left office he would be arrested for things that they were only not arresting him for because he was president. Again, different subject. But it's the Taliban. He's Taliban. His supporters are Taliban. You can tell by the way they talk and the way they cheer on the Taliban. So at least they've trapped them in. And maybe they're just doing that in the media here, letting them think that the Taliban won so they can keep cheering them on so we can trap more of the Trumpers who are terrorists here. Thanks for watching your Antifa News Briefa. I'm Puffin. See you soon.